Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of Our Roots and Tea. And just for our new listeners, a little bit of a breakdown. We're here to explore more of the existential topics: meditation, spirituality, mental well-being, life purpose, life happiness, philosophy, psychology, all that good stuff. And the other element I have to mention too is that every episode we try a new type of tea. And tonight, since it's later at night, we're doing the Zoom call actually. I'm trying out this brand called Taylor's. It's a decaffeinated breakfast tea. It says bright and refreshing black tea. So, I'll let you know how it tastes. And so tonight I should say, we have our awesome guest here today, Byron. And I don't want to mispronounce your last name, but what is it, Byron?
Qiao.
Byron Qiao. Is it? Did I say it right?
You say it in Chinese. In Chinese, it's Qiao, but a lot of people just say Qiao just because they can't pronounce it.
Oh, so, okay.
Well, in Byron, Chinese, it's in Chinese, it's Qiao, which means bridge.
Okay, but or just simply Byron Qiao, if anything.
Yeah, that works.
That works. Okay, so we're on a Zoom call today with Byron here. I think he's drinking water or coffee, so he won't be trying to tea with us tonight. Anyways, I want to get things started right away, and right off the bat, I want to ask you, Byron. We're here. And so I want to know how you got started with your spiritual journey and why. Give us all the juicy details.
Oh, wow. Okay. Jumping right in. Okay.
Yeah.
My spiritual journey began probably about 6 or 7 years ago. And I think up to that point, I was just like a regular dude, just trying to figure out things and, chase after the American dream. And I was thinking about this question because you told me about this, and I kind of narrowed it down to a precise moment, which is I went to a rave called EDC. And this is like back in when it was in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of drugs there, including acid. And that was actually like the first time I did acid. But after that whole, it was like a 3-day rave. It was like crazy. I don't know if people have been there, but yeah, it's pretty crazy rave. It's like, 3 straight days. But after that, I just felt like completely spent. So I remember thinking like, oh man, I need to like detox. I need to regain my strength, and I just feel like I need to take better care of my body. Like I felt like I shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff to myself that much anymore. So at that time, I took a flight like right after the rave to go visit like my ex-girlfriend at the time in New York, and I remember being there and I was like really disorientated because of the flight and because of, the aftermath of the rave. And I found this book just laying around in her apartment. And it wasn't even her book. It was like her roommate's book. And I was like, what is this? I was bored. So I just like, I'll pick this up and just read it. And I started reading it. And it was actually a book by Deepak Chopra. And I think it was like about the mind, body, and spirit, like how these 3 things connect. It was like a pretty straightforward, like basic book about how these 3 things interact with each other. But as soon as I started reading that, it just kind of spoke to me about how like the body is connected to the mind, and that's also connected to this thing called the spirit. And I was like, okay. As I got more into it, it started talking like pretty deep stuff about how, like a lot of your childhood trauma that influences like how your mind works, and that also influences how your body is functioning. Like people who have chronic pain, sometimes it's like something that's caused, like from a mental thing. And I actually went through that same kind of experience, and I can tell you a little bit about it a little bit later.
Okay.
But basically from that book, I was like, whoa, blown away. And then I just started reading more Deepak Chopra books. He talked about meditation in that book.
Mm.
He talked a lot about like Eastern influences, like Buddhism. So I was like, okay, let me start looking more into this kind of stuff. And I just read about Buddhism. I read about meditation. I took his little meditation 10-day, thing.
Yeah.
And just got really into it. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is nice. Like, I like it. It's very peaceful. And then from there on, I just kind of kept going, just kept digging more and more into things, reading different books, trying different meditation techniques. And yeah, and here I am now.
Wait, so before you discovered this book, you weren't really into that stuff. Like, did you thought that was stupid?
No, I didn't think it was stupid. I remember going to, I think my opinion of it was like, it's not for me.
Okay.
Like I couldn't imagine myself sitting somewhere and just sitting there for like why would I do that?
Oh, I see.
I mean, I was into, I think I was into like health only up to the amount that anybody might have been. Like, everybody knows they should take care of their body. They shouldn't be eating junk food and all that. So I was pretty much on that same level. I was mindful of like what I was eating, but at the same time, I didn't really care that much because I was like in my early 20s and feeling great. Yeah.
So you were really more about your physical than your mental.
Right. Initially, it started from a physical thing because I wanted to detox and take better care of my body. And then I realized that your thoughts are also affecting your body. So I was like, you know what, that makes sense. Like and I was a little bit into positive thinking already. Like,
okay.
Some of these
like Tony Robbins
books.
or.
Oh yeah, for sure. I had read all those books about how to succeed, how to be the best, how to like perform at your highest level.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And so would you say that this book I don't want to say change your life because I'm sure down the road there would be other events, but at least at that point in time, would you say this is the book?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, but I actually went back and reread the book, and when I reread it, I was like, oh wow, this is like it didn't have the same effect on me as it did at that moment.
Okay.
Because when I read it, I was like, oh, this is very basic to me at that point. Once I had gone through more spiritual journeys and more meditation techniques, like I did the Vipassana meditation that your friend had done.
Yeah.
So when I revisited that book, it just seemed like, oh wow, I came pretty far from this book, but it was definitely like the starting point, Without that book, I don't think I would have been
exploring
into that journey. Yeah.
Okay. Because you mentioned, about going to EDC, taking drugs. Because I have heard from other friends that when they say they take certain drugs, it's almost like they have some kind of, I wouldn't say enlightenment, but a surreal feeling, like almost the same as going through the whole Vipassana and meditation course. At least that's how my friend described it. I don't know if that's true for you.
Yeah, I mean, only later on did I read about the effects of LSD and spirituality, I guess. So I guess this is a common thing that happens to some people where LSD kind of triggers or opens up their mind so that now they're more receptive to whatever it is. My whole thing up to that point, I had heard stories that, oh, if you take LSD, you could potentially go crazy. Like just one time and you're crazy, So I was like really scared of taking it. And I only took a little bit of it. But I think it's true, man. Like, when people say you go crazy, like what is your definition of crazy? Because crazy might be, oh, now your mind is open and now you see the truth. And now to everybody else who's still asleep in the world, you're crazy. Of course, if you start talking about some of these like spiritual, philosophical stuff, you could sound crazy to the status quo.
Well, yeah, because you supposedly you don't fit into the society. You don't fit into what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
So basically, if you're not setting your own trend. Oh, I mean, I meant like if you're not following a trend and you're setting your own trend, it's almost they look at you kind of confused, like, okay, what is this guy talking about? You know?
Yeah.
Which is kind of I don't know. I think is very damaging. Because you mentioned about how a lot of people are still, I guess, asleep, as what you call it. So I think that's very damaging, right? Because if the whole society is like that, then then what should be the right path to go?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think it has to be in this way where majority of people are sort of just living their lives on autopilot and basically, doing what they were destined to do, like, or the lives that they were destined to lead. Which for me, like when I say destined, I just mean like I don't believe in free will anymore. So
okay.
Everybody who's born, you've already been predetermined, which is by your karma, like.
What can you explain a little bit more about that? Like predetermined karma. I mean,
karma to me is just like it's a collection of all your actions that you've done in past lives, whether you want to believe that or not. We can get into that, but it's basically you're born into a certain situation, certain class, certain family, and you are forced to think a certain way and to want certain things. And if you really want to break it down, it's like when people say, oh, I have free will and like because I want to do this and I want to do that. Well, who put that idea in your head that you want to do that? Oh, you want to be like a professional athlete. Where did you get that idea? You think that it's your choice, but in reality, if you really dig deep, that thought was already put in you from your circumstances. Like from my example, like for me when I was younger, I really wanted to succeed. Like that was my thing. I wanted to be very successful. I wanted to make a lot of money. And that eventually transformed as I went to college and figured out what I really want to do. It became like, oh, I want to make films because I want to be a filmmaker, because I want to be creative. And I want to be like this movie director. And on the surface, it might seem like, oh, okay, you made that choice to do that, which is different from all my friends. All my friends, they were not trying to make films or do anything creative. I was like the only person that was trying to do that. So in my mind, I was like, oh yeah, I'm different. And like, this is the choice that I'm making. But if you really want to break it down, that wasn't really my choice, because the reason why I am like that is because of my childhood, like the way I was raised and the events and the circumstances that I went through as a child caused my desire and this drive within me that's instinctual. Like I can't get rid of this drive to create and to make films. No matter how hard I try to like remove that out of me, I still feel it. Like it's pulsing in me.
And that's what you call an ego, right? Well,
yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. Your ego is just the self that you've built for yourself since you're like a baby. And the reason why I wanted to be so great and I was so driven, and people looked at me like, oh wow, you're so driven, like wow, you're different, or you have drive, like some of my friends, they weren't really like that, they were comfortable doing whatever they're doing. And I also asked myself, I was like, well, why am I like that? And I did an analysis of myself.
Okay.
And I said, oh, it's because like, I was born without a father. I came from a broken home, single mother,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom wasn't really there that much because she had other shit she was dealing with, and so I pretty much had to like raise myself, and I was like moved around a lot, like family to family, country to country, and like this feeling of abandonment, right? Like a lot of people have this kind of thing. A lot of people have, abandonment, whether that's your mom or dad, or if you're an orphan. So you have this void within you. And how do you make up for that void? You have to build up yourself. You have to build up your ego to
Okay.
fill that void. So my way of doing that was like, okay, well, if I become like a movie director, then look at all the people who like abandoned me. They're going to look at me like, oh, damn, like they fucked up, like now this guy's famous, he's rich, he's wealthy, he's successful, like subconsciously I wanted that. Like that was what I was going for, that I had to fill myself up because I had been abandoned my whole life.
So it's almost like, wow, okay.
And you see the same pattern because like I asked myself, is that really true? For myself, it's definitely true, but I could see the same thing in a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Like if you look at anybody who's like super driven, super like just nonstop, like crazy, achieving the best of the best, and you really look at their family history and where they came from, and psychoanalysis, a lot of them come from that type of family background.
So subconsciously, you're it's almost like you're seeking other people's love and approval just because of the abandonment issues.
Yeah, and people who came from like a perfect family. I mean, this is not for everybody, but I'm just kind of generalizing a little bit. If you came from a really good family and you had a big family and everybody loved you and didn't really have that many problems, I see a lot of them. They're just kind of like, like I'm chilling. Like I don't have to try that hard. Everything's like cool for them. Like they're happy. But of course, they have other issues, right? Feeling of like, oh, now everybody looks at me like I'm the rich kid and I had everything. So now I got to prove to them that I'm not just a rich kid, that I also have issues, or I'm also struggling. And you see that with some like really rich kids.
Yeah.
They have this sort of
attitude.
Like attitude, right? And that's something I actually explored in my first movie.
Okay, that's cool. Okay, so, and then all this kind of came to light for you when you started meditating and digging deep into literally like your mind and your past.
Yeah. Hold on real quick. Let me just take my sweatshirt off.
Getting back to for you, so okay, you went on this journey, you read the book, you start doing more meditation, and my guess is you're still doing meditation now, right? You're still pretty consistent with that.
Yeah, I do meditation every day, or at least I try to. It's quite difficult, like with busy schedules and all that, but I try to make it work with every day, a little bit of meditation.
And each time you meditate, do you discover something new, or just simply sitting there and kind of letting your thoughts pass by?
Well, I practice the specific technique of Vipassana meditation taught by Cuenca is the name of the teacher. He's pretty popular, but there's actually a bunch of other Vipassana meditation teachers. But yeah, I mean, I went to the 10-day course originally. It was 10 days. And then I did another 10 days, like, a year later.
Oof.
And then just this year, actually, I did a 10-day, but service. So I was there helping out, like setting up, the meals and cooking.
You were a volunteer, basically.
Yeah, I was cleaning the dining hall.
Okay.
And just it was hardcore work. Like I never worked that hard in my life, because it was 10 days straight. Like even if you worked in a restaurant business, you still get a couple of days off here and there, right? Like in a week. It was like 10 days straight of nonstop work from 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I got to get up and prepare the breakfast for the students who are going to eat breakfast at like 6 a.m. And then just nonstop and get the lunch ready. And in between, I'm doing meditation sittings with everybody else. and cooking and just constantly on my feet. And this was all just to give, to these other students, to provide this environment for them. And I was with a bunch of other volunteers, like a group of, I think it was like 8 of us. But doing the service really made an impact on me, because I realized that was the first time in my life that I really just 100% did something without like having like any kind of personal gain, I mean, in a sense that is still personal gain, because that was moving me forward in my spiritual journey to fully give to other people. But yeah, it was like a really humbling and interesting experience.
So you giving back is, at least at that time, you felt like it was the right thing to do.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And they tell you like, hey, you should do this as part of your like after you've done a couple courses,
Yeah.
you should go and volunteer and serve, because they need servers. Like without servers, other people can't go to the meditation retreat, because the whole thing is free. Like people don't have to pay. So other people have to donate their time and energy to make sure that these other people are getting food and able to meditate.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. No, yeah, absolutely. It's kind of along the lines of, kind of Stoic philosophy where you want to do the right thing, like moral values, right? And I think that's where kind of what that mindset is.
Yeah, and it's building karma, like good karma, It
Yeah,
will
that's
come back to you.
interesting. Because you mentioned that, and then because I actually did want to circle back to that too, because you mentioned about karma in the past lives, and so you do believe that we do have past lives before this.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, well, but what if our past life was, like a dog? I mean, how are you able to judge? You know, you know
Well,
what I'm saying?
dogs have lives. Dogs have lives. Dogs, there can be bad dogs and there's good dogs. There's dogs who
Okay,
kill other dogs. There's dogs who are very loving and treat their owners like with a lot of love. And if you talk to any dog owner, they will tell you straight up, like, my dog is my best friend. And it's just as a person as I am.
okay, I see. So that as long as there's some kind of life force, it doesn't really matter if you're an animal, human being, or even if you're a tree.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything has a life force in it. And that's the spirit aspect, right? So when I say like multiple lives, past lives, I'm not saying, that there was another Darren, whatever, 10
Right,
years ago
exactly like
or 20
mine.
years ago. Right. Because it's not you anymore, right? Because the you that we think of as a you or I, it's built upon the identity that we've created once we were born.
Hmm.
But the essence of us is really just like this consciousness, and this consciousness, if you strip away the body and strip away the mind and strip away your identity, then whatever is left, that's what was in the past lives. And that thing gets carried on over and over, and that thing never dies.
Huh. Yeah, that's kind of mind blowing. Actually, I need to think about that one a little bit. Okay, so right now, okay, let's say for you, you're Byron. Okay, that's supposedly who you are, but if we were to literally like just looking at your essence, then you're really just, in some sense you can say you're just a dude, right? You're not, Byron is a name that was given to you, and then when you're born and your parents or your past experiences kind of created that identity too, right? It's almost like cultivated.
Yeah, think about it. When you were first born and when you were just beginning to walk and talk, all of that was slowly built up to become what you are now. You first had to learn how to eat, how to talk, and how to move, right? So it was like it kept building and building and building, and your mind was growing. And then, but if you really think back to when you were a child, there's always like this part of you that was like a witness, just like a watcher. Like you could see yourself doing things and you're moving around. That's still the same you.
when you say watching, do you also mean it's almost like what your soul kind of popped out of your body and watching what's going on?
Yeah, yeah. There's a witness in you, okay? Because when you sit and
Okay.
meditate and you're observing your
Yeah.
thoughts, who's doing the observing? Because a lot of people think like, oh, I am what I think, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever, like I am my mind. I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that.
Yeah.
But if you just sit there, and you'll realize, if you just do a little bit of meditation, you'll realize that your mind is doing its own thing. Like you're not really in control of the mind. You can be in control of it, but if you just let it like go, it's doing its own thing. It's coming up with thoughts. It's going into the past. It's going into the future. And if you just sit there and just keep watching it and just watch what your mind does, you'll learn a lot about yourself, about your mind. And then you start questioning like, okay, well, if I'm the one watching my mind, then that is the true you, the witness that's watching the mind.
So if let's say if our mind wasn't really, thinking about past, thinking about future, then we wouldn't know we are actually alive or we exist, right? Because that's the only way we know that we exist, because our supposedly subconscious, our mind is working, and
But
you.
no, that's the
Okay,
thing. That's the thing. Your mind is a separate thing.
it's a separate thing.
There's
Okay.
there's another thing within you. So like
Wow.
if you have
Wow.
no thoughts, I've been in a phase where like when I was meditating, where I
Hmm.
had no thoughts. There were no thoughts coming in my mind, like a thoughtless state of being. And when you're there, you're like, oh wow, this like I'm still here without any thoughts, and
Okay.
you're just existing. So once you can get into that mode, you're like, oh, now I totally believe, and actually I know that yes, this whatever this is right here will continue on and has been passed down from before as well.
I know this is going to be hard for you to explain, but thoughtless meaning literally you're just, all you do is paying attention to your your body parts and your breathing and all that, like all the basic stuff, or is it deeper than that?
I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not really focused on any body part at that
Oh,
point.
okay.
It becomes like this. It's hard. Yeah, you can't really explain it because there's nothing you would like you really have to get to that state, and then you're like, oh wow, this is like pretty amazing.
And you would know when you get to that state, like somehow you would just feel it or whatever.
But yeah, I mean, you have to meditate a lot to like reach that state. I've only gone there like a few times during deep meditation. Sometimes like I'll get there like just for maybe a brief moment, like a minute or two, and then like my mind comes back. But when you're there, you're like, whoa, this is like what I'm trying to reach, at least at that level. Like you're trying to get there through
Wow.
meditation.
So that's what they say when Buddha reached enlightenment, is that.
Oh, Buddha went way past that. So what I just described, that's like the very basic, like foundational level to first reach. And then from there, there's like multiple stages. They have names for this. Like I didn't really memorize it, but the Buddha, he did the same thing. Like he first reached that state, and then he kept meditating and learning more. And then he reached another state, and another state, another state, and then ultimately reach like full enlightenment.
And this is from the books that you've read, right?
Yeah,
And that's how you knew.
right.
I kind of have a feeling that each person's definition of enlightenment would probably be different, right? Just the same as each person's definition of success or whatever is different too. I mean, I would say that's the case here too, right?
I mean, yeah, each person can have their own definition, but at the end of the day, there is an ultimate absolute truth, and that is the enlightenment that is the truth.
And that's something that you could only experience. There's just no way you can really explain it.
Yeah, nobody can really explain that level.
Wow.
I think some monks have like try to explain a little bit of it, but yeah, like I don't even know. I just have this idea of what that could be
Hmm.
like. just from what I've read, and also from experiencing, the little bit of meditation I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I can see how that could potentially go to a place where you only feel like this blissful love, and you actually feel the love, which is like a loving feeling that just takes over your entire body, and you feel great. Like it's even better than any type of drug or whatever. I mean, I've never done heroin, but I can imagine you get to that level of just like consistent, like, whoa, I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel love. I am love, And then at that point, you don't need anything. You don't want anything. You're just perfect. Like you're perfectly fine like that for all of eternity.
And that's the effect it had on you once you reached that state. This the kind of effect it had on you.
Yeah, I got to a state where I felt love. Like I felt that there was love. Like I could feel the sensation of love.
Wow,
You know,
sensation of love. Fuck.
sensation of love, and not love as in like, oh, I love this thing, or I love this person, or I love. It was just like pure love, just coming out of me. It was just like it was just a great feeling. Like there was nothing. It was just pure. I
Wow.
can't really explain
It's like
anymore.
it's like better.
That's what I want to be. Like
Interesting. Okay.
forever.
Wow. So it's like better than any food that you had, any drugs or any sex, any of that. Like it's better than any of that. Because all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, actually, all the stuff that I listed, they're all really just for pleasure. Really, to be honest, it's not really like a happiness thing.
Yeah.
if anything. Nah, man, this is good, dude. This is deep. Because for me myself, I am still trying to, I guess, experience it or find out what that feels, what it is. It's difficult, because I don't. I guess you're more disciplined than I am. You meditate, more consistently than I do. Um, but
Well, this is why I told you from the beginning when I first met you, Darren. You just got to go to the meditation retreat because up to that point, I couldn't really sit still for more than like 10 minutes.
Oh, okay.
But when you are put into that environment, and in a way, you were forced into that environment, like once you go there, you're making a commitment to stay there for 10 days.
Yeah.
So for sure, like after the first day, I was like, what am I doing here? Like, what is this? You have a lot of these thoughts running through your. And a lot of people have similar experiences where they start questioning what they're doing. But you've made a commitment. You're already there. You might
Yeah.
as well just finish it and finish it with like openness. Just try the practice, and if it
Yeah.
doesn't work for you at the end of 10 days, okay, then whatever. You wasted
Yeah.
10 days, but it didn't cost you any money,
Sure.
whatever. And there were some people who went through it and they were like, nah, that's not for me. I talked to a guy, he was like, yeah, nah, like I couldn't even get into the meditation. Like my legs were hurting. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because most of the people I talked to, they had a great experience similar to what I had, but there were like a few people where they were like, nah.
Yeah. No, I can understand because the other week actually, I did join it's over Zoom. It's like virtual. I did join a kind of like a meditation group because my friend Alvin, he was in it. He recommended to me, and it was like 1 hour meditation. I actually did go through it. I sat on the ground and all that.
Oh, nice.
But I can see why that guy would say something like that, because even for me myself, when I was meditating for an hour, yeah, it was hard for me to focus too because I was constantly adjusting my body. Yeah, my legs were hurting, and it's almost like, and then your back's starting to hurt, and then it's one of those things where, I mean, I went through it anyways, but I guess there was a certain point where I kind of just let the pain kind of come and go. I mean, I know the pain is still there. I'm still trying to adjust, but I guess after a while, I kind of did settle down and just realize, okay, well, maybe the less I think about it, the less painful it will be. I mean, I don't know how much that's connected. with the mind and body.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, like, the way you're going about it I mean, it's good that you're like trying meditating and all that, but it's a difficult way because you're like, where'd you do this? Like at your house?
Yeah, just in my room.
Yeah. So for me, before I got into meditation, I was like really into traveling.
Okay.
And when I travel, it's like you go somewhere and you see everything is different and you meet new people or whatever. Like that for me was like a way to experience the world. And it made me like I was in a different mindset whenever I was traveling, whenever I was in a different place. So with the meditation retreat, it's like that. You go to a place, and in this place, they have it set up where it's like super peaceful, and there's people there with you who are also meditating, and that gives you energy and strength through other people. You see them meditating, you're like, oh wow, all these people committed to this. Okay, like now you feel like, all right, I'll do this too then. I was in a hall when I first went with like 100 people. If you do this in India, they have the Vipassana in India where it actually first the first classes were held
Yeah.
over there. They had like thousands of people meditating in
Ooh.
one room.
Ooh.
And this one lady who went there, she told me, she's like, wow, the energy there is completely different. Like you'll feel the energy of 1,000 people meditating.
Wow. Yeah, no, of course you can't do that now with COVID. That's very dangerous. 1,000
Yeah.
people in the room.
Well, so like, let me just tell you about my experience in this last one.
Sure,
It
go
has to do
ahead.
with COVID. So I went into the meditation retreat in March.
Okay.
And when I first went in, there were some cases of COVID. I think there was like 3 or 4 cases in California.
Yeah.
By the time I came out of the meditation retreat, shit had already hit the fan. It was like,
yeah.
the shutdowns and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in the middle of the meditation retreat, like I would say day 7 or day 6, our teacher, like they call it the assistant teacher, the AT, he came and told us, the servers first. He was like, hey guys, I gotta tell you, there's some recent developments with COVID that the governor has declared like a state of emergency and sports are shut down and like every day it got like worse. He had to report to us. And at first we were like, oh, that's crazy. But then like as it got on, we're like, wait a minute, what? This sounds kind of serious. And on the last day, they had to tell the students because they didn't want the students to go back into the world and have like a huge shock, So they told them, and it was just like a weird experience. Like going into the retreat, everything was pretty much normal. You come out of it, the whole world changed. And the funny thing was like, they were like, yeah, but you know what the good thing is? Now you have this great technique to use to help you deal with the hectic situation out there.
Wait, so what were your thoughts or reaction when you came out of it and then it's like a lockdown situation?
I slowly like found out more as I turned on my phone. I think that's when it got serious. Once I took out my phone and started scrolling through the news, that's when like article after article, how many people died, how many people have it. I was like, what the heck? It was like really serious. And yeah, it was definitely like a shock for me because like the week after that, it was the shutdown, and everybody from my work had to get sent home and all that.
I would think that after all the meditation, I don't know if you will. I'm guessing. I'm sure. I guess you still feel shocked, but I would think that after all the meditation, it would be really more normal than anything. I wouldn't say normal, but more like the reaction would be like, oh, okay, so this happened. All right, well, so what next?
Yeah, well, let's just put it this way. The meditation is not a miracle cure.
Yes.
And with the COVID, it was definitely like a
Sure.
little bit more than what I could have taken. I wasn't like panicking or I wasn't stressed. It was just like slowly I found out like what was going on, and I was like, okay, it's serious. I think I was just as shocked as a lot of people when it first hit, the scale of it.
Yeah.
But I was fine in terms of like personally, like I was still doing meditation and just locked down at home. It was fine.
Okay, so it's almost like you just carried on life as kind of as it is, and still going through
Yeah.
your routine.
So part of it is like accepting things as it is.
Okay.
And that's like one part of the meditation is to like learn to do that. So I accepted whatever was happening. There's COVID. Okay, then there's COVID, and this is what I have to do now. Um, and that's kind of my attitude towards a lot of things now. Just like if something bad happens, then just accept it and see where it's leading you towards, because
Mhm.
every bad thing that happens is actually an opportunity for growth. And if
Yeah.
you have that mindset, then nothing bad can ever happen to you, because even if something tragic happens, it's still a good thing.
Okay, and you're applying that mindset to pretty much everything you do now, like your work, um, relationship, all that.
Yeah, definitely. Like COVID for me, it's been fine. Like with the lockdown, I've actually been in the best shape. Like I got into the best shape of my life. Best surfing I've done ever. Work wise, like top performer at my job, and in my writing for screenwriting has actually gotten a lot better because I had a lot of time to do this, and a lot of great things came out of it. I mean, yeah, I mean, I can go on. There's so many things that came out of this like bad situation, you could say, but it built strength. It forced myself to rethink a lot of aspects of my life, and also it made you cherish
Yeah.
or not take for granted some other things that you might not be able to do now, but I still look forward to doing once the whole thing's over.
Okay.
So,
I actually do have a follow up question on that because I mean, yeah, I know you have that mindset of kind of accepting and just believe that things will work out. But even having that mind, or at least being disciplined and practicing the mindset is tough too, right? Because what if, let's say, your boss keeps yelling at you at work and you just stink it up for whatever reason, even though you believe you're doing good, then that could have some effect, right? Or to you, it's just like you kind of brush it off.
well, I use that. So let's say your example, my boss is, being an a-hole and just whatever, saying some nasty things to me.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, like I know myself, I'm probably going to start reacting in like with anger. I mean, normally people, yeah, there's some sort of anger that arises out of you,
Yeah.
or some sort of frustration or agitation. But I use that in the same way that when people sit for meditation, like if they have a pain in their leg, they use that because with the pain, you actually want the pain. If you have pain, that's good because now you can use that pain to purify your mind because you're training your mind to not react to this pain. So if I didn't have the boss yelling at me, I wouldn't be able to practice restraint of my anger, you know, observing my anger and bringing my anger down. If I don't have something to pull that out, I can't practice. It's like you don't have
Mm,
anybody to fight against, so you're never going to become a fighter.
okay. So the Byron before would have reacted in some sense emotionally, and then the anger would release. But then now you're able to find kind of the balance, the peace within yourself, I guess.
I still react in anger, but now I observe my anger and I don't let my anger control my actions. That's pretty much it.
Okay. And would you say that before, or I don't even know if now if that's the case too, but would you say that you're a person holding a lot of grudges as well?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, I think everybody has stuff or people from their past where they're like, oh, that guy like did me wrong or whoever. Like,
Yeah.
so you're always holding grudges. But the thing is, like, holding a grudge is not going to do you any good. It's not going to hurt that person either. By you holding a grudge, like nothing's going to happen. It's not like this person's suffering because you have a grudge. You're the only one suffering. Like anytime you have hatred, anger, or like jealousy, the only person that is suffering is you. So why are you doing that to yourself? So like I just gotta let go of that grudge because then I'm gonna be a happier person.
Oh, okay. So that's how you at least in your mind, that's how it's being worked out. And that's, obviously through your, meditation and spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Damn. That's deep, man. That's deep. um, well, it's funny because you mentioned to me before, this is before, I mean, I don't know how long ago it was, but you told me that there was once, yeah, I'm actually backtracking a little bit too. There was this one person, I guess, from the course, you were saying that he or she have always had migraines. And then once they go into meditation and they go through all that, then all of a sudden the migraines disappear. But that's interesting though, too, because yeah, I know migraines are on the mind, but then, but in a scientific sense, they do the x-rays or the scans, and they do show their activity going on in the head. So
Yeah.
why would
Sure.
meditation kind of help dissipate that?
So the example that you're talking about, that's actually Goenka, the teacher.
Oh,
So
okay.
the story with my teacher is that he was a rich businessman, like before he got into the meditation, and he had crazy migraines the whole time. And he saw every single doctor in India as well as Europe. He's originally from Burma, but he had saw like every single doctor. Nobody can really help him. They gave him pills. Nothing really worked that well. And finally, like one of his friends was like, "Hey, you should try this meditation thing. Like maybe it's something in your head. It's a psychosomatic issue.
Oh.
Like that's something that people talk about, psychosomatic." So he was like, "All right, whatever. I'll give it a shot. Like, what do I have to lose?" So he goes to the 10-day course that was done by his teacher. I'm gonna mess up the name, but it's like Sanjeev. Yeah, I don't even want to say it. I don't
Okay,
remember the
that's
name.
fine.
But he went to his teacher and he did the 10 days. And after the 10 days, he said his migraines went away. And he was so blown away by that happening. Like he was just shocked, right? Because every single Western doctor couldn't help him. Like, how can you tell me you go sit there for 10 days and your migraines are gone? But after that, he became a believer. He dedicated his whole life to teaching Vipassana meditation because of that experience. He taught his mom first. He did the courses for his whole family. Then he started teaching the people around him, and then slowly it expanded. And now they have centers all around the world. So let me tell you my personal experience, because
Sure.
people might not believe my teacher's story. But
Sure.
I'll tell you guys, like, honestly, you know what? One of the main reasons, if not the reason, that I actually really went to this meditation retreat is because I had a problem with my hand.
Like carpal tunnel.
No, it was tendonitis.
Okay.
In my right wrist. And this is typing all the time and just like driving Lyft. I was an Uber and Lyft driver for a while in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And just like gripping the steering wheel and just driving, it really messed up my hand to the point where like it just hurt for me to like even hold anything. And I got really depressed. I went into this dark hole of like, oh, what am I going to do now? Because now I can't even be an editor. I can't be a writer. Like if you can't use your hand, like what kind of life are you going to lead, right? And I saw every doctor, like they said nothing's wrong with me. I did acupuncture, I did massage therapy, like everything you can name, I did it. I even saw a witch doctor who did put like a machine on me and it was like vibrating. And I don't know, some weird stuff, right?
Like some voodoo stuff or something, like witch doctor?
Yeah, it was like a witch doctor, but not a voodoo. It was like a weird high-tech kind of witch doctor.
Okay.
So I exhausted every single option. And then I just kind of assumed that I was going to always live with this hand issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I read this book that was talking about psychosomatic problems, that it might be related to the mind. But I was like, So then I just went to this meditation retreat because I was like, maybe this will help as well. It was one of the reasons, but there was other reasons why I went to meditation. I was interested in meditation. But if I really have to be honest, I think it was because I was just trying to fix my hand. After I came back from the retreat, for the first time, I didn't really feel any pain in my hand. And I was like, wow, but that's also because I didn't use my hand for 10 days, right? I'm sitting there.
So it's just resting.
Right, but the crazy thing is I kept doing meditation and then I would say maybe about a year or maybe a little bit less than a year after my first meditation retreat, like my hand doesn't bother me anymore. Like I still felt like a tinge of pain that would like act up, but like it didn't, I wasn't reacting to it because I had accepted it and I knew that it wasn't a big issue anymore. And that I knew that I could live with it. Whereas before, every time it was coming up, it was more in my head of like, oh, look at me, like my hand is messed up. Like I can never be an editor or I can never like do anything. You know, it was more of a cycle thing that made me very depressed and made it a bigger deal than what it really was. The pain itself wasn't even like that crazy. It was just a constant like annoying thing.
Like the panic or the anxiety that you had basically made it worse, pretty much is what's going on.
Yeah, I was super depressed. And I was living in Germany at the time and just trying to figure out like, you know, what I was trying to do with my life. And it was very cold there and dark. Luckily my wife was with me and got me through it. But yeah.
Wow, that's kind of crazy. So, but I mean, I wouldn't go as far to say that doctors are wrong. I'm sure there's probably some kind of maybe, I don't know about nerve damage, maybe some kind of muscle strain.
Oh, so the thing is, they in Germany they did MRIs. They even did a nuclear scan of my entire body, and they said there's nothing structurally wrong with your hand. I was begging them to give me surgery. I was like, just cut my wrist open. Like I watched wrist surgery YouTube videos.
Oh,
to the point where I was like, I could probably do it myself. That's how crazy I got. I was like, I've seen so many surgeries of the wrist tendon, specifically Decaffeinated veins, which is the thing I had. And I actually diagnosed myself with that. And later on, the doctors confirmed it. But they wouldn't do it. So, and they were like, nothing's wrong with you. But that was even a worser feeling because it's kind of like, I feel pain, but you're telling me nothing's wrong with me. So what am I supposed to do? Who am I supposed to see? The doctor's supposed to help me, but you're telling me you can't help me because you think that I don't have a problem. But I know I have a problem. I feel it. And so many people are living with this type of chronic pain.
Well, why? Well, in that case, you could easily went to like a psychiatrist or a therapist, right? But why meditation? You know what I mean? Because there are other paths, like there are other routes.
Well, it was free.
Okay. So if it wasn't free, that would not be an option, basically, is what you're telling me.
It depends how much it was going to cost.
Okay, well, let's say if it was free and you go in and you go through the course and it still didn't help you, then would you just kind of flip tables and just go, crazy?
No, I got so much out of the meditation retreat, like the hand thing being pretty much fixed was just like a bonus. Like at that point with my hand issue, I thought it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. But it turned out this was the best thing that ever happened to me. And this goes into like my whole philosophy of like, when something really bad happens to you, just see where it's leading you towards. If you just say, oh, this sucks, like my life sucks, this thing happened, I lost my hand or I lost this or whatever, you're just gonna, you're gonna, be defeated. Say, okay, this happened, let me see where this is gonna bring me to. What is this telling me? And if I really analyze what happened with my hand, I was like, wow, this was literally the hand of God coming down from the sky and making me go in this path.
Mm.
And I realized I was actually addicted to my cell phone, addicted to social media, addicted to smartphones. And because of my hand issue, it made me drop my phone. Like I couldn't hold my phone anymore, And once I did that, I was starting to get free from technology, social media, Facebook, even just text messaging people. So in Germany, all I had was like this dummy phone, like the drug dealers use. And I only had like 2 people that would call. One was like my boss for my work, and then my wife or my girlfriend at that time.
And well, I mean, of course, you're not absolutely off social media now. I mean, you probably still use it, but just a lot less, right?
Yeah, I slowly, once my hand was like better, I slowly got back into using a smartphone. And, once I moved back to the States, yeah, I started, I mean, you have to use a smartphone. But what's great is I'm very aware of like how it's interacting with me. So, and now I'm not like constantly on it, I
Yeah.
can like just throw it away. Sometimes I'll forget where I put my phone.
Yeah.
I'll be like, whatever.
No, yeah, no, I agree with what you were saying before about the the pain and the psycho symptoms or psychosomatic. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true because lately I've been reading a lot of like Stoic philosophy. I've been reading a little bit about Seneca, and then he has a quote. Well, not the full quote, but just part of the quote, and he was saying how we often suffer more in imagination than in reality. I mean, that's probably not like exactly the words, but that's just kind of I'm just paraphrasing it.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
great.
now when you think about it, it's actually really true. Because a lot of what's going on is always going to be in our heads or our minds. Um,
Yeah. Everything it's all in your head. If you can purify your mind, you won't feel pain or anything really.
I mean, well, something like cancer. I mean, that is more a physical thing. I mean, I guess you could try to purify your mind and not think it hurts, right? But I don't know.
Well, it's your way of interacting with the pain. So,
Okay.
of course, you would have to be very, strong in your mind to not feel. I mean, you're still going to feel pain. This is the thing. You still feel it as a sensation. It's just
Okay.
that the sensation itself is not what you think of as the traditional pain, meaning you can feel it and you don't care because you've transcended pain. And that's why these Buddhist monks can light themselves on fire
Oh yeah.
and sit there perfectly still and not cry or do anything as they burn to death. Like you've seen that, right? It's
Yeah.
crazy. But
The
that's because they have
yeah.
such strong mind power.
Yeah. Talking about that Vietnamese monk, right? The Is it
Yeah.
Vietnamese monk? Yeah. Because I well they were doing it to I guess send a message or something like that. And
Yeah, they're protesting the Vietnam War,
yeah.
at least the one that I'm thinking about. I think there was a few other ones that
Was it a
happened.
few other ones? Oh, okay. Okay. So regardless, the pain will okay. Like what you said, the pain is still there. Sensation. It's almost similar to when let's say your nose itch, the itch will still be there, but it's more like okay, well, I'm not going to let this itch bother me too much, like that kind of deal.
Well, if you observe the itch, you'll start stepping out of your body in a sense because now you're observing it and you're so focused on observing like what that itch actually feels like and where exactly it is that you'll stop thinking, like you'll stop associating or identifying yourself with that itch or that pain because now you're just watching it.
Okay, and then now it's almost like you're constantly every day you're kind of watching yourself in a way, in a sense, or watching your
Yeah,
thoughts.
that's all it is. And I know you want to talk a little bit about this, where like the aftermath of meditation retreat, right?
Which is pretty much what you've explained here already. I mean, you
Well, just one aspect of it, which was, I don't know if everybody had this experience, but like after the meditation retreat, I would say maybe a week after, and I kept doing the meditation
yeah.
like throughout the whole day.
Okay.
Um, I really felt like I was like floating through the world. Like I wasn't really in my body. And as I was watching people, like I would take walks and I would see people walking around, talking to each other, laughing, crying, or doing whatever. And it was just such a surreal experience of like I wasn't in the world really. Like I was floating through it, like a spirit,
What the
like
fuck?
transparent. That's what it
Wow.
felt like.
It's almost like an astral projection, kind of.
Yeah, yeah. It was like it was such a crazy feeling. And then I suddenly saw everything that was happening for what it really was, like a person that was, let's say like a homeless person on the ground, just like sick or whatever, like screaming at himself. I saw this person as somebody who was just like suffering so badly, and there was so much compassion. That's another thing, the compassion within me, it was like bursting out of me. Like every time I saw somebody begging for money or doing whatever, I was like, I felt like I was like, it was just compassion, you know?
And
Isn't
you're
it crazy?
sure? I'm sorry to cut you off because I was gonna ask, like, are you sure that's not your imagination? You really feel like,
No, no, no. I felt it. I was
oh, okay.
giving so much money away.
Oh wow. Oh,
Like I was even surprised at myself, you know?
because it's almost at that point to you, money and all that stuff is not even important. You're like, oh no, I'm, I want to help this person or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, it was just like I had more compassion for people. I was more compassionate and empathetic to people I saw around me. I could see things clearly. Like I understood myself after the meditation retreat. I saw like what happened throughout my past
Yeah.
and like what was happening in that moment as well in my life, and how my desire to be this famous movie director was actually like a false illusion
Yeah.
of like, why did I want that, or like what, like why am I doing what I'm doing, and who am I, like who is this person that I've created, like is this really me, or what is me, or what am I, like what is this body, you know? Because through meditation you're going through your entire body and you're feeling all the parts in your body, and you're just like, what is this, what's going on here? And then even like just looking at like a plant or a tree, I was like mesmerized. I remember walking in the park and I would just stop, and the tree literally just like, I'm not gonna say I was crying,
You,
but
you talk to a tree.
it had that feeling. No, I wasn't talking to it, but like the beauty of the tree, like somehow I saw the tree and I was like, wow, this is such a magnificent tree. Like how big the trunk is and just like the way the branches went up. I was like, I was just blown away, like fascinated by this tree.
Wow.
But I've walked by this tree thousands of times, you know, before that. And I never really turned to look at this tree. And like every little thing, even like a
Yeah.
little flower, it was just like,
Yeah.
whoa, I saw the beauty in it. Whereas before, when I looked at it, I was like, oh, cool, it's a flower. All right, what's next?
Yeah. So
It was
do you think
strange.
do you think that's the reason why people take drugs, because it's almost like that trippy feel, like, like shrooms or acid or whatever? I never tried any of those, but I mean,
Yeah, people would take drugs to get away or see different aspects of, you know, reality, I guess. But this was completely different. Like it wasn't like I
right.
was on shrooms or anything. It was so vivid,
Mm,
and yeah, there was a lot of crazy things that happened during the retreat as well, which like I can't really understand how that could happen. Like
right.
I couldn't go to the bathroom. Like I couldn't take a shit for 10 days. I didn't know
Wait,
that was physically possible. I didn't take
wait,
a
no,
shit for
no.
10 days.
What? Wait, no, no. But my friend told me that they have vegetarian meals there, so there's plenty of fiber, right? I mean, it's not like you constipated.
Oh, I told the people there, like the helpers, whatever. I was like, hey, I haven't been able to use the bathroom for the last few days. Like, I need some laxatives. And they're like, okay. They gave me like everything they had. Nothing worked. I was drinking coffee like in the morning,
Yeah.
trying to do that. They gave me this like weird mix of something that was like natural that was supposed to help. I forgot what they put in there, like chia seeds or something. I drank that every day, like with my meal. They gave me this other natural thing. It was like a pill that I ate, and nothing worked. And they told me at one point, they're like, hey, you know what? Some people, when they come here, your body has a reaction to like what's happening to you. Because now you're in a place where it's purifying your mind and it's purifying your body. And your body knows that it does not want to be purified. It knows it's not trying to do that. Because like you're there to control the monkey mind.
Mm,
The monkey mind knows that you're trying to do that to him. So it's not going to go out quietly, and even now my monkey mind will like bounce back, and I have to like keep it in check. But during that time they were saying that your body will have its own like reaction to what's happening. Some people get sick when this happens. Other people get like a headache or have some sort of like bodily reaction. For me it was just constipation for 10 days. And but the thing is, I've always had some sort of like like stomach kind of problem where,
Yeah.
a lot of food I eat doesn't really go down that well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this is because there's these bad, like what is it? Well, they call it sankaras, which is like the negative energy, but it's within parts of your body. Like that's where it's living.
From the
So the
food that you
energy
eat.
itself is there. No. Just in general, like when you have
Okay.
negative energy, it's somewhere in your body, and maybe for me, it was like stored up in my stomach.
Oh.
So as like it was trying to like clear that out, the stomach was like reacting to this.
Wow. I
But like, how's that
definitely,
possible? 10 days, like,
yeah.
and I was eating like not like overeating, but I was definitely eating
Yeah.
my fair share.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah. I don't even know. I do have a lot to say about that, but I mean,
It's
I,
unexplainable. Like I can't explain like how that
right,
happened.
right. No, I get it. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. I hate to say this. Like, we are running out of time. We do have to wrap it up soon. I do have more questions about it. I know eventually we'll can probably do a part 2 or something in that. We'll figure it out. But anyways, I
All
guess
right.
to I guess to wrap it up, before we go, because I know you were also reading, because I saw on your Facebook you're reading like a new book right now.
Mhm.
What book is that? Just so maybe I can check it out too.
What is it? It's like this really old Buddhist text.
Okay.
I don't know what the title is. You might have to just post it in your show notes. I'll send it to you later. But it was recommended by the Dalai Lama. I was watching like a live broadcast and he
Yeah.
was talking about it. He was saying that he takes a lot from it. I think it's like the life of a bodhisattva. It's like how to be like
Okay.
a monk, essentially.
Okay.
I haven't read through the whole thing yet,
Yeah.
but it's an ancient text,
Mm.
like 200 or 300 BC, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. Cool. But I mean, it sounds difficult to read. But yeah, send it to me though, anyways, because I probably will post a lot of pretty much everything on the description. So anything, at least anything that's worth like for people to check out, put it on the description. Um, but no,
Yeah.
that's really interesting, man. But no, but this has been great, man. Always love these conversations with you. Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll be back again talking, even deeper stuff. But yeah, so we're gonna wrap it up here for tonight, and and we'll be back next week with another episode. Not sure what we're gonna be talking about, but we'll like what Byron said, we'll accept it and let it kind of happen and flow with it.
Mhm.
But anyways, yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Byron. I appreciate
Thanks.
it, man.
Well, yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate this opportunity to chat with you. And yeah, it was a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, man. Have a good night. Okay,
All right,
bye.
good night.
Bye, everyone.